Viewers, Bihar voters aren't just going to decide who will rule the state, but more importantly, who will dominate national politics going into the new year. In 2026, crucial battleground states are up for grabs, and most of these are states where the NDA isn't the automatic choice. The last thing the NDA will want is to approach the tests in Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Kerala thinking that their Hindi heartland citadel has developed cracks. For the opposition, it's crucial to not lose ground, in particular for the Congress party that has turned the election into a referendum on Modi's integrity. A loss for the Congress would mean renewed pressure on Rahul Gandhi to prove his worthiness on the back of a string of setbacks since the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. Remember, viewers, in at least 3 states, in the upcoming cycle, in 2026, the Congress is not even a distant second. It's the third option. So, a loss in Bihar would really mean a loss of credibility. On the other hand, viewers, an adjunct, a defeat for Tejasvi Yadav will diminish his stature greatly, opening the door for other alternatives like Prashant Kishore in Bihar. His politics could very easily, viewers, and his political future could very easily, viewers, be over. So we are going to ask a basic question. Who's got the best chance to win in Bihar? Let's put that question up for analysis. Let's go straight across to all our guests. We have some very, very important faces, very knowledgeable faces. One, of course, representing the Bharatiya Janata Party, in a sense speaking for the NDA, the predominant and most dominant player in the state, arguably. There's Rahul Verma, Senior Fellow of the CPR, Yashwant Deshmukh, Director and Founding Editor, C Voter, a cephalogist who has his finger on the pulse. Amitabh Tiwari, election strategist, also here with us. Let me begin first with Yashwant Deshmukh, whose C Voter survey is making waves already. So I want to first begin by asking you, what is the mood in Bihar, Mr. Deshmukh? Is it for change? What are your calculations telling you?
Well, if you ask the question, this particular question to Biharis, do you want a change? Yes, of course, overwhelming majority of the Biharis say they want a change. I mean, no doubt about that. But change from what? That's a classical question that one needs to ask. Because even the NDA supporters say that they want a change. Even the BJP supporters say they want a change. And even, of course, the opposition voters are saying that they want a change. But the change, everybody has their own way of looking at it. Probably the BJP supporters are looking at somebody from the BJP to become the chief minister as a change. The third angle of Prashant Kishore definitely has come up big time, and he has captured the imagination of the youth, which is looking for a change. But what I am not very sure whether that traction can actually convert into vote, and those votes can actually convert into seats. So that remains a question mark. But otherwise, Prashant Kishore has certainly brought in another angle of change in Bihar politics.
Okay, let me push you into getting into a little bit of the numbers. What are the numbers saying, Yashwantji? You've been doing a tracker.
So we run a tracker. I mean, we do ask people about their choice for the chief ministerial candidates and other thing and issues and everything. Definitely, it seems like Tejasvi Yadav happens to be the number one choice for the chief ministerial, largely because there is nobody else on the opposition rank and file, basically to be seen as opposition's chief ministerial candidate as such. So he carries whatever the opposition voter and converts into his popularity rating, or you can say the otherwise as well. As far as the NDA side is concerned, there is a sense of fatigue with the Nitish Kumar, but one should not confuse that sense of fatigue with the anger. There is no anger whatsoever with Nitish Kumar. there is definitely a sense of fatigue, and everybody else is encashing on it. For example, number 2 choice in our tracker for the chief ministerial ranking is coming out to be Prashant Kishore, which looks like very surprising, but it is not, because he's getting a lot of traction, making all sort of noises left, right, and center, which is benefiting him getting the traction. But if you add the numbers of the BJP candidates like Samrat Chaudhary to Nitish Kumar or Chirag Paswan to Nitish Kumar, then his numbers swell and go beyond Tejasvi Yadav, which tells you that probably NDA has an edge in that way over the UPA, but the contest is very, very keen, very, very close. It's very, very difficult, Rahul, to actually come up with any estimate for Prashant Kishore's vote share.
Naturally.
Because as you know, that the vote swing grid that works on the last performance of the assembly elections or Lok Sabha election and what is the swing going on right now, or any new party, there is no electoral record, no electoral history for the previous election. So it's literally impossible to project vote share for a new party. That is why all we can say is that Prashant Kishore, in his popularity rating at this point of time, is gaining traction more than 20% of the Bihar population. But what part of that can actually convert into vote, and what part of those votes can actually get into seats, it's literally impossible to tell at this point of time.
But your survey puts Tejasvi above 50% popularity. That's a huge number in itself, isn't it?
His not popularity, not popularity, but his approval rating. I mean, that's basically there are 2 different questions when you ask in the tracker. One is, are you satisfied with the performance of the main opposition leader, that is Tejasvi Yadav? So yes, there his approval rating is more than 50%.
Okay,
but when you ask about as a verbatim, who do you want to see as the chief minister of the state? That is where his numbers have been in the last 6 months, ranging from 33, 34 to 38, 39% of vote. I mean, you can take a median of about 36% approximately. That's where his numbers are coming right now.
Okay, before I bring in Shehzad Poonawalla, I just want to ask you, why wouldn't the approval rating for Tejasvi Yadav automatically translate into perhaps a victory for the MGB?
Because of a simple reason that when you look into those numbers and you compare it with about 20% odd of Nitish Kumar, it looks like he is almost double of Nitish Kumar. But the conversion of entire Gadbandhan vote to Tejasvi Yadav to Gadbandhan is very, very uniform and very clear. As far as the ruling side is concerned, you have got not just Nitish Kumar, but also Chirag Paswan, also Samrat Chaudhary, and many variety of the BJP leaders who are in the fray in 1-2%. So when you add up that popularity number into one thing, it goes way beyond 40%. So obviously, that's why I'm saying that if you will only look into the popularity or the chief ministerial preferences, it seems like Tejasvi Yadav is miles ahead, but it doesn't necessarily work like that.
Okay, let me bring in Shehzad. Let me bring in Shehzad Poonawalla. Mr. Poonawalla, I just want to ask you this, because from the little that Mr. Yashwant Deshmukh is seeming to suggest, he says that the third poll, Prashant Kishore, his emergence suggests a fatigue factor with both maybe even the NDA and the MGB. How do you explain this?
First of all, just on a lighter note, when Mr. Yashwant Deshmukh was citing about popularity and approval, Tejasvi would be hoping that approval of Congress should come for him to be the CM face. वहाँ से तो approval आने से रही. Anyway, let me just make, there are 8 points I've noted because I watch all your show and consume. See, there's no palpable anti-incumbency against the current Nitish double engine government of Nitish ji and Modi ji in Bihar. In 2020, you would have still felt that there was some little bit of anger, but that anger is also not palpable. Secondly, Tejasvi Yadav today is not at his optimal level, which he was there in 2020, the number of crowds he was drawing. Thirdly, Congress today has become a bigger liability than it was in 2020, and it is demanding more seats than it demanded in 2020. Fourthly, the confusion of issues, and I don't know, Rahul, how many debates you have done on 9 p.m. that when the real issues could have been A, B, C, performance of the government, they have gone for issues like voter Adhikar Yatra, and I think second part of our debate is dedicated to that, and nothing has come out of it. It was damn squib. Fifth, the confusion over the leadership. So Yashwantji's rating, I think Tejasvi will take screenshot today of your debate and he will go and send it to the Congress leadership. And lastly, I want to just say that last time you see Chirag Paswan was not with us. He was fighting separately. Today he's fighting with us. So therefore, after even taking Yashwant's numbers into the consideration, I think the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 polls that have taken place, and the average of the polls for NDA is 150 seats. And for the MGB 70. So I think that the fact that after 20 years, and see Tiwari ji, and he also does some polls. I think he has also done one of these polls, and then
I'll bring him in.
You know, after 20 years, if you are still saying that the government is not down and out, that it is very much in the reckoning, that itself shows that first of all, the opposition has not got its strategy in place, and that the government has delivered. Secondly, as far as Prashant Kishore is concerned, Prashant Kishore is trying to make a larger appeal towards a secular section of youth. And if that is the case, then the traditional analysis is that the youth would have diverted towards Tejasvi, but now part of it is diverting towards Prashant Kishore. Although I don't go by that analysis, I'm going by the traditional analysis. So by that analysis also, the nuksan or the loss would be of the Mahagathbandhan.
So you're saying he'll end up cutting the MGB more?
I mean, you see the way they approach a particular vote bank is also quite similar. I say one, वो क्या बोलते हैं, एक अनार 100 बीमार. So you see, they are all the bimars for the same anar. So sorry to use so many Hindi puns on your channel.
No, that's all right. I think there are a couple of people that are smiling.
So everyone has understood who is the anar and who is the bimar.
Okay, so let me just. Okay, this is an interesting question that's been thrown up via a sort of pun. But Amitabh, Mr. Tiwari, let me just come out to you, because you've also done your sort of ground assessments. Who's standing on solid ground? Let's put it that way.
See, Bihar is a very tricky state. Pollsters thought NDA is winning 2015 and the result was opposite. Then we thought that Mahagathbandhan is going to win in 2020. Then again, most of the people were wrong. So it is a tricky state because caste alliances play a very big role. However, I wouldn't say anti-incumbency is not. Anti-incumbency is there. Almost 50% or 48% people do not want this government. But the anti-incumbency vote is getting split into two major blocks. One is Mahagathbandhan and the other is Prashant Kishore, because he is also channeling some of the anti-incumbency vote. When you asked sir a question as to why the popularity rating is not translating into a victory for Mahagathbandhan, I think all people are not voting on the CM face. Only around 15% people are voting on the chief ministerial face. 85% people are voting for other reasons, which is the prime ministerial face, beneficiary status, law and order issues, caste, religion, etc. So that's why it automatically does not mean that if a person is leading in a CM race, that party should also automatically be leading. Now we have a situation where Nitish Kumar's popularity is down. It could be because of the fatigue factor. But the interesting thing is that his popularity, which is coming down, is not being pocketed by Tejasvi Yadav. In fact, if you compare with 2020, even Tejasvi's rating is down marginally by 2-3 percentage points. And that I would attribute to largely the attack by Prashant Kishore on his educational status. See, Bihar is one of the lowest per capita income states, but पढ़ाई लिखाई is a very sacred thing in Bihar. जो गरीब होते हैं वो भी अपना पेट काट करके अपने बच्चे को पढ़ाते हैं. So by constantly hammering on his educational qualification, what he has done is that he has been able to move away a section of the youth, because he's also taken up the unemployment issue in a big way, while the opposition was largely focusing on SIR and vote sharing during these 2 months. But on a combined basis, since the NDA partners, which is JDU, BJP, LJP, HUM and RLM, cater to a much wider social segment, which is around 68%, if you see. And even if the NDA gets two-thirds of this or even 60% of this, it is above 40%.
Right.
The challenge with MY is MGB is its inability to expand vote
Beyond
beyond.
MY.
So they do not still have been able to get into the EBC vote, 26% Hindu EBC vote, kingmaker sort of in this election. And they've also not been able to present a vision. There are issues, there are problems, but how are they going to solve the issues? Yesterday, he did come up with something on the unemployment, but the number of jobs he's promising as government jobs perhaps is not even the total number of
Yeah, I mean,
government.
the maths is just completely awry, and I don't think
That does not give
people
confidence
in Bihar people are.
educated youth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're very astute. They will do the math themselves. Everyone there is a math genius, and if they don't, they'll go to Khan Saab and ask him to do the math. But just bringing Rahul Verma in, it appears to me, Mr. Verma, it appears to me that the NDA has perhaps stabilized its base. This time it's gone in. It's been able to stabilize its base in Bihar by getting together what many perhaps think is a winning combination. So it's really doing the math well. It may not have lived up to the expectations, let's put it that way, of the people. Would that be a statement that I can make?
Yes, in a way. So let me say a few points. First, I think you are right. If you combine, look at the social arithmetic that NDA brings together, it is very, very vast catchment area. And each of the sort of like constituent of NDA has a solid sort of like social base. BJP brings the upper caste base, Nitish Kumar brings EBC, Chirag Paswan brings Paswans, and then you have Manji who brings sort of like a section of Mahadalit vote. So in that sense, they have a large social coalition, and they would hope that this social coalition stays with them. The second point is related to, I think, Nitish Kumar's popularity and whether there is some kind of anti-incumbency. See, I think Nitish Kumar's popularity has to be read in terms of the historical change that is taking place in Bihar politics. Bihar is increasingly getting polarized, right? And that polarization is reflecting in basically decline in Nitish Kumar's popularity. So think of Nitish Kumar's popularity in 2010, which was at its peak when NDA, BJP, and JDU had together got more than 220 seats. At that time, Nitish Kumar was popular among upper caste base of BJP, was popular among EBC and Dalit base, but was also attracting certain Muslim voters to it. And over a period of time, what seems to be happening, the two large caste blocks, the upper caste have not been happy because they have not been able to get their own chief minister. And so this angst of like Nitish declining popularity is there, but also among sort of like Yadav and Muslims that they have not been able to get their own chief minister so far. So in 35 years, these large caste groups did not have their chief minister, right? So in that sense, the shrinking of Nitish popularity is a reflection of that. So Nitish continues, like if you just do some kind of cross-tabulation on either Yashwant Bhai's data or Amitabh Bhai's data, you will find that Nitish continues to hold his ground in the crucial EBC vote.
That's
right?
his, that's,
among women,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So so while there might be fatigue among other segments, Nitish has his own segment behind him. There is a reason why BJP continues to sort of like project him as chief minister, because that's the crucial vote.
That's the swing voter. That's the one who's going to decide the outcome of this election. So, Mr. Punana, this...
Rahul, one more point. I think the third point, which is like on Prashant Kishore, whether he reflects some kind of churn or whether... See, because in some ways in these 35 years, Bihar politics has been sort of like revolved around Lalu Yadav and his family and Nitish Kumar.
That's
and
right.
so there is obvious something you will always like look for new. And Bihar elections always had some interesting element. Think of 2015 election when Nitish Kumar and Lalu Yadav came together. Think of 2020 when Chirag Paswan went out of NDA. So in that sense, Prashant Kishore brings that sort of like exciting element of the 2025 election. So his popularity rating is almost double of the vote that Jan Suraj party might be getting in both these surveys, right? So his popularity is not a reflection of
Okay.
Jan Suraj's popularity.
I get it. I get it. So there is a yearning for change. There is perhaps no compelling alternative. Maybe that's one of the compelling enough to make voters move. Now, this is not a great advertisement for a double-engine sarkar. Some would say, Mr. Poonawala, maybe the double engine isn't firing, but Amit Shah's maths is 100%. So I just want to ask you this because, look, there probably is some disenchantment. I'm not saying any real ire or anger, etc., at the politics of opportunism. There is, you look at the statistics, there's a lack of job growth amongst the youth, for the youth segment. It's pretty discernible amongst the urban segments. And there is this, are you hanging on to Nitish even after this election because he brings in that crucial vote? But does he deserve to be, you always say that your party, everything is based on merit. So could you address these three?
So, let me start by this last question. To reduce Nitish Kumar and his persona just to certain caste groups would be to ignore what I call politics of SIM. SIM. What is SIM? Sushasan, integrity and Mahila factor. Nitish Kumar over the last 20 years, 15-20 years, and along with obviously Modi ji at the national level, they both are I would say the poster child or the poster boys of Sushasan. From Bimaru to, one would say that on the track to becoming Bemisal Bihar. Integrity. Nobody till now can make single rupee allegation against Modi ji, of course, and against Nitish Kumar personally. And M for Mahila, not just this 10,000 rupee transfers, but just look at the entire wave of work done for Mahila, from the Jivika Didi to the cycle to going to school, building opportunities for them, 33% reservation in the police, 50% in Panchayati Raj, empowering them. All of those steps have been taken. So this is one is SIM. The other Samne we have DIM. DIM means D for dynasty, not just DIM in maths. D for dynasty, I for infighting, confusion, and M for Mafia Raj. And let me elaborate on this Mafia Raj. It actually, why the coalition base or the social base of the, I don't call it MY factor, I call it YM factor. Like Owaisi has said one thing right. ये यादवों की भी पार्टी नहीं है. They don't even tolerate Pappu Yadav. It is just one Yadav Parivar and Muslim, which has become the pitchlaggu of this alliance. So it is the YM factor, and this YM factor, when it is so aggressive in its demonstration that we are coming to power, that the other social coalition and the bases are not possible because they feel threatened that our security will be under a big threat if these people are given the right to do Jungle Raj once again. And just because you have teased me on maths now, on Amit Shahji's maths, just one point. If Mr. Tejasvi Yadav had done maths work in school, he wants to give 5 times more jobs in Bihar, Sarkari jobs, than Government of India. And by his logic, in 20 months, he has to give approximately 13 lakh Sarkari jobs a month, which translates to 45,000 Sarkari jobs a day. Now, can you take this seriously? And if he does do that, after giving the entire budget of Bihar for this, you know what the salary of one person would be? 9,000 rupees per month.
The tragedy is that in the absence really of a law, and I know that the Supreme Court and others have talked about how it's important to promise with integrity, people can get away and get swayed.
But so can I ask Mr. Tiwari one question?
Yeah.
Just one small question, because Tiwari ji and Yashwant, all of them.
I'll ask Yashwant ji also. That same question that you want to ask. Whether this job thing is having a...
Not the job thing. Over the last 6 months, those who are writing off Nitish Kumar ji completely, today most of the surveys are saying Nitish is back with a bang.
Is that so? Mr. Tiwari, is that so?
No, see, if you see the pro-incumbency levels 3 months ago in our tracker at Vote Vibe, the pro-incumbency levels were just 18% and neutral incumbency was 22%. So combined 40%, you can say positive, against 48% anti-incumbency. But this pro-incumbency over the last 3 months has almost doubled to now 34% because of the scheme announcements which Nitish Kumar has done. So the 22% people who were saying that we are neutral, that is declining.
Okay.
Is declining, and the pro-incumbency is increasing.
So Rahul Verma and Mr. Chibbar have written a book in which there's a chapter about SOPs and how they work, or if they actually work at all. So this particular thing has come out pretty much of the blue. A lot of people on the ground think it's going to be a game changer. I think I'm also going to ask Yashwantji this question about whether this will have an impact. What is your assessment of SOPs? Yeah, Rahul Verma, one second, just one second. Let's just go to Rahul Verma first, just 1 second. Yeah, Rahul Verma, I just want you to set from your academic research. Yeah.
See, I think such announcements may sometimes have impact on the electoral outcome, right? There is no point basically saying it doesn't matter. But to make an argument that these SOPs, as you call it, can alone win you elections is not true with evidence, right? Like you can think of like just in last 2 years, Biju Janata Dal lost election in Odisha. Jagan Mohan Reddy with all kinds of SOPs lost election. So you may find some governments who came back because of the SOP, and there were some governments who may also have lost despite the SOPs. But SOPs at the end may help you to create a narrative. It works only in conjunction with other things. It alone cannot guarantee you victory. And I think Nitish Kumar's sort of like this announcement of 10,000 grant to women voters should also be read in sort of like conjunction with what he has been doing over last 20-25 years. Right?
Okay.
So there is a credibility factor which is also associated with your policy.
So very quickly, this is a very important point. Let me very quickly go across to Yashwant Deshmukh ji. Yashwant ji, this Naukri promise, how is that tracking on the ground?
I still presume that 2/3 of the Bihar still directly or indirectly remembers that or has some kind of recollection, and at least 1/3 of Bihar definitely has a very clear idea of where they do not want to go or where they want to go. So that is very clear. As far as Tejasvi Yadav's scheme is concerned, it's a new thing. We need to keep a track on it. Next 4 weeks are going to be very interesting. It's a direct contest of the two schemes basically now in Bihar. One is the Mahila scheme of Nitish Kumar, and one is the Sarkari Naukri scheme of Tejasvi Yadav. We need to keep an eye on it.
But just, I mean, with deference to Yashwantji on this one, look, the promise comes with credibility. For instance, let me give you one example.
That's what he was
and
saying.
Tiwari ji and Verma ji will also attest to that. In Chhattisgarh, there was a Congress government. They made all kinds of promises. We were in opposition.
That's the point that was made.
In Maharashtra, we delivered on the promise. In Congress has not delivered, in Himachal, not delivered in other places. So credibility also matters. And I don't think Tejasvi Yadav or his family have the credibility on either education or on jobs.
Well,
they will ask how many lands you are taking.
The verdict was too early to call. This is going to heat up. We're going to keep coming back to our guests over the next few weeks. It's going to be interesting, I can tell you that, because Bihar does sometimes beat to a different drum. I'll leave it at this.